All right, so I was going for a walk today and I thought of some things that I really wanted to share because I think that we are in a very exciting time as American Christians. We are in a time that we've never been able to experience, at least in the 34 years that I've been alive. In the 34 years I've been alive as Christians, we've been able to do whatever we want, whenever we want, for the most part. We've been able to go witness on corners. We've been able to go knock door to door and tell people about Jesus. We've been able to pick it out at abortion clinics. We've been able to share the gospel with people in the grocery store and have close relationships and give hugs and stuff like that and pray and lay our hands on people. And there's never been anything in society, for the most part, that I can think of that's really stopped us from being able to do this. And I think how unique that we are in this time where we can't do those things. Or I guess maybe my question is, or can we, right? And it makes me think of when I was a kid, one of the biggest lessons my dad taught me. You see, I had an older brother. My older brother, he beat me in everything we did. I didn't win anything. I lost in basketball. I lost in soccer. I lost in how fast we could ride our bikes. I lost in ping pong, all the above, right? I remember my dad took me aside one day and he said, "Hey, don't be discouraged, even though you're losing." He said, the reason you don't need to be discouraged because you're losing is you learn more when you lose. It's when you lose, that's when you get better. Because when you're winning, you're not under pressure. You don't see the things in your life, the things in your game, what either or, that need improvement, right? If you're in control, you don't see what's weak. And it kind of makes me think of what the Apostle Paul said in Romans when he talked about the law and how the law brings this pressure and these expectations into our life. And it puts us under this unique pressure that actually shows us you're not as good as you think you are and you need to improve in these areas, right? And I think how can we relate you're not learning unless you're losing to our situation right now? And I think it relates perfectly because we've never been in a position of loss. We've always been able to have church whenever we wanted. We've always been able to have it as long as we want, with whoever we want, wherever we want, for the most part. And now that's kind of coming under attack, right? And while it's under attack, we're learning, wow, here's what we're good at and here's what we aren't. You see, in the book of Acts, we're told 4 things that are very important and 4 things that the church is known for doing. The church was known for fellowship, devoting themselves to fellowship, devoting themselves to prayer, devoting themselves to the Lord's Supper, and the 4th thing was devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching. And if there's one thing that I've seen churches around America do awesome at during this whole, probably about a month of no gathering together, we've been so awesome at continuing to devote ourselves to the apostles' teaching. And we're under pressure, and that should make us, I don't know if proud's the right word, but we should be excited that we're good at that, because even though we're not allowed to meet, we still have friends starting new blogs. We still have pastors that are starting up podcasts and talking about some of the teachings in the Bible. We have our churches putting up videos of the sermons every week. We are not neglecting devoting ourselves to the apostles' teaching. We're doing awesome. And that should shed to light that we are good at this because we're still doing it under pressure. But I think the things that we aren't good at are some other things, like the Bible says, don't neglect meeting together. And my question would be, while we're under pressure right now, who have we met with over the past month? Have we met more as believers, as a church, than we did before this happened? Or has this pressure and these new rules and these new laws, as Paul would say, have they shown light on things that we really aren't good at? The Bible also says, take the Lord's Supper as often as you can. And my question is, have we gotten together with church members, even over Skype, even over Facebook video chat? Have we gotten together and shared in the Lord's Supper with those people? Or has this pressure that we've been over hindered us from doing that? And then finally, the early church was known for devoting themselves to prayer. Has our prayer with other believers, has our prayer for other believers increased? And I think this is so cool. This is such an exciting time because we are under pressure that we've never been under. And this pressure is what really shows us how we can mature to be in the full likeness of Christ. And how unique that we finally get something like this. So my word to everybody is be encouraged. Although this is a time of loss, as my dad would say, it's a time of growth as well. And we can come out on the other side of this knowing, hey, remember when that coronavirus hit and we were told we couldn't gather together? We learned that we were really bad at taking the Lord's Supper together. We learned that we really needed to get better at our fellowship. So if we're better at our fellowship outside of the coronavirus and we make it strong then, if we have deeper small groups, you have deeper connections with people in our church, if we learn to pray for people that are struggling in our church, if we have people over to our house without coronavirus, when this whole pandemic isn't happening, maybe when a pandemic like this happens again, we will be like, oh, we have them over all the time anyways, let's still have them over. Or I can't imagine what it'd be like not to have a prayer meeting. Let me call them and pray for them over the phone. I can't imagine not having fellowship with that person. Let's do a Skype call. Yeah, I'm not saying we have to be together in person. Some of us will choose to do that and others won't. But it's times like this, as I said, that when we're losing, that Paul says, hey, it's the law that showed me my sin. It's the pressure that revealed where I needed to grow and how exciting. So be encouraged. Look at this as an opportunity to see where we can grow in those 4 areas of the church and what it's known and identified as doing in the early days of Christianity. And hopefully this can be a time of revival rather than a time of the opposite, right? So God bless.